This week on the Bigfoot Researchers Journal, Mark and Melanie head back to the area of Mark's first sighting for an expedition in the swamp at night. Then we'll take a look at what a juvenile Bigfoot looks like from Myakka State Park. On this episode of the Bigfoot Researchers Journal. The vast swamps and wilderness areas of the state of Florida are home to a legend. Join Team Crypto Reality as they go after the truth. Go! For the first time in Bigfoot research history, you're going to see what it takes to be a real Bigfoot researcher. Real story from behind the scenes. As it turns out, finding Bigfoot was the easy part. The Bigfoot Researchers Journal. Seeing is believing.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Bigfoot Researchers Journal. What you're about to see is something that's been described on many occasions, and I've never actually experienced myself anything like what we experienced on the night expedition that is in the episode here. And I'm not saying it's anything one way or the other, but it did in fact happen.
The amount of time, money, and physical work that goes into getting a single piece of footage or an image of a real Bigfoot is ridiculous. That's why there's so many people out there that don't bother trying. But when you understand the nature of a thing, then you understand what it's capable of. That's why once the team knows they've got an area with Bigfoot activity, they spend a lot of time filming there. And Mark spends even more time reviewing the footage. See, these things are so adept, they'll let you walk right past them, and you won't even know it, even if you're looking for them. Now, obviously, Melanie could sense that there was something over there, and there was a little movement, but nothing you'd attribute to a 600-pound giant human primate. However, the audio coming up will let you know they were indeed right there. The other interesting aspect of what's going on here is whoever this is, they're almost 8 feet tall. They also like playing hide and seek in the bushes. Go figure. Next thing you know, what sounds like a Bigfoot yells at both him and Melanie from behind their position about 50 yards away. Now, it was so windy that day, and Mark was so focused on what was ahead of him where he heard the running off, he never even heard the Bigfoot. And neither one of them knew they just walked past one. Here's the audio.
What's that?
Isn't it something how you can catch them on film, find their tracks, and hear them, and science says they ain't real? Mark and Melanie missing a Bigfoot this close is a testament to how stealthy the species actually is, and why most of the public still believes they ain't real. Mark thinks the Bigfoot you just saw is the same one he saw twice in the exact same area. Here's a drawing he made about 5 months ago. Check out that nose. Looks familiar, huh? Going into the field on expedition is just one aspect of many of being a real Bigfoot researcher. If you want to present your evidence to the public, it requires quite a bit of technology. And with technology comes a whole lot of problems.
And then we have to back the footage up because computers crash. This particular computer has crashed several times. And the programs crash themselves. We've lost a lot of footage because the computer is overloaded. We have backup drives and we have external hard drives, and that's all really important. I mean, the bottom line is in doing what we do, the footage is valuable, and so that was part of the learning curve of what we had to come to grips with, was that there's only so much that the technology can do to save the footage. I mean, we've lost so much valuable footage from field expeditions with tracks and actual Bigfoot footage because the technology gets overwhelmed with how much information we're actually trying to put into it. What's that, babe?
You have 2 knives, huh?
Well, just in case.
I gotta put it right in my pocket because you need to be able to grab something if you need to grab something.
Yeah, I got one big one on my side. I mean, chances are we're not going to need them.
I know.
But
Mark and Melanie gear up for their first nighttime expedition to research Area 1 in 5 months.
And we're going to research Area 1. We had originally planned on doing a Corbett expedition. But we want backup when we go in the area because there's some serious standoffish activity going on in there.
Mark and Melanie originally planned on doing a nighttime expedition where they'd been catching all the Bigfoot on film in Research Area 4 and 4A. But the last 2 times they were there at night, they got growled at, and Mark got hit by a big branch that was thrown from some saw palmettos. Yeah, the area does tend to get a little claustrophobic at night with so much company. So the team decides to play it safe. They head back to the area of Mark's encounter for a nighttime investigation neither one of them will ever forget.
We're here.
It's dark. Big time.
It's kind of cool out.
Bigfoot.
And that's when things started to get weird. As Mark approaches the scene with all the movement, he can hear the sticks breaking and something running off. Suddenly, his camera started acting up, and he felt like he had some type of electricity flowing through him. He got nauseous and panicked like he never felt before. And just like that, it was over. His camera started working right, but he was shook up. They could hear something running off, so they took off after it.
It's running that way. Get down that trail. Get down that trail. It's running down this way. You can hear it plain as day running. Let's go.
They chased after it for a little ways, till they couldn't hear it moving off anymore. They were both thinking it was a Bigfoot, because it was hiding in the bushes, and it ran off smashing trees on 2 legs. And they could both hear that, plainly.
I heard it further off. Maybe there's more than one.
They headed back over to the crossroads and went down in the ditch one more time, thinking that since it was gone, maybe they'd shoot a clip for the next film. Something else was still there.
It's right here. Jesus. Do you hear that?
Yep.
I'm just jumped out of my skin just now. You heard it that time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Jesus. It's right here.
Something smacked the ground in that big bush. It was right there. It hit the ground so hard, both Melanie and Mark felt it through their boots.
My heart's fucking pounding.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah. Who's that? Back up. Get over here.
Out of the exact same bush that smack on the ground came from, something growls. At that point, they headed home.
It sounded to me, and I hope we got it on the camera, that one that was less than 10 feet from us, there were multiple, in my opinion, there were multiple bush Indians right there. And less than 10 feet away from me, it sounded like one smacked the ground with his hand to scare me off, me and Melanie. And it scared the shit out of me. And Melanie was right there, and that's when I was like, we need to back up, because that was a very clear warning. Now, I look at myself in these situations and in prior experiences over the course of 35 years in the bush, and I've never had a hog or a deer or anything that's familiar out here ever do anything like what we just experienced. Game invariably flees, and if you're close to a hog, you're going to know it. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the sounds that hogs make. Melanie described it as a body hitting the ground. The sound, the thump of it went through the ground. I felt it in my boots because we were within 10 feet. It was not a hog. We then backed up and went back down the road and tried to parallel the position again, looking in the bushes. And when we came back the third time, we heard a very distinct, in the same spot that the thump came from, less than 10 feet from us, that sound. At which point, I felt like, maybe it's time we should go. And going into the bushes right there, in the dark like that, even with a light, having seen what I've seen out here, I'm not going to do it without backup. That's the bottom line.
Next week, Mark and Melanie traveled to Myakka State Park for an expedition to follow up on his son's encounter and review some footage that they shot during the encounter in 2012. On the next Bigfoot Researchers Journal. The Bigfoot Researchers Journal.